So Chris Duarte of the Indiana Pacers is definitely an interesting player. I mean, he is around 6'5", 190 pounds, so you can run him at the 3 or the 2 if you wanted to, most preferably the 2 for me. But he is 24 years old, so pretty alarming on that end because he's probably the oldest rookie in this draft class, I want to say. He did get picked at 13 by the Indiana Pacers, and today we're going to go over his future with the Pacers, talking about what he can provide to them and where he's going to be headed in the future, because I think he should be a pretty important piece for this Pacers team if they want to at least try to contend in the future. And Duarte should definitely be seen as a pretty big piece for this Pacers team in the future. So what's up? My name is Pacers Empire. If you like the video, dropping below, subscribe to the channel. I'd appreciate it. And let's get into the video. So we'll go over his stats from this year. Averaged around 13 points per game, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists. Didn't really play too much around the end of the regular season, and that was just due to the fact that he was struggling with, I want to say, a toe injury, so he couldn't really play too much. But even before that, he was already playing at a pretty high level. You know, he's already been shown to be a pretty great scorer, also being a pretty underrated rebounder, I want to say. I mean, overall, in the last few games, he's been grabbing, around like 5 rebounds. Last game against Memphis, 3. Against the San Antonio Spurs, 8 rebounds. He's pretty okay there in the rebounding department, but not really too much of a playmaker at that. So, Duarte, I think he's definitely going to be a pretty important piece. Looking at his overall shooting splits, 43% from the field and 37% from 3. Yeah, Chris Duarte, his 3-point shooting is definitely his biggest strong suit of his game. His form looks pretty silky smooth, and his ability to shoot a contested 3 is pretty amazing. I've seen a lot of clips where pretty much pull a contested 3 in front of anyone. His form allows that, and his ability to not only shoot pretty great but also handle the ball and just run off ball in general is pretty amazing. I think he has a pretty versatile ability to be great on offense. He can even run him at the 1 if you wanted to, just to get a little bit crazy, run Halliburton at the 2 if you wanted to. But he's more of a person going to be off ball, and moving forward, is he going to be starting on this team? Maybe. Come 4 years from now, is Chris Duarte going to be a star for this team? Probably not. And the reason I say that is because the NBA is definitely saturated with a lot of young talent at the shooting guard position, or even the guard position at that. If you look at some guys around the league, Tyler Hero coming off the bench. If Chris Duarte can do something similar to that, and I think that would be a better role for him, being that type of 6-man that could honestly win 6-man of the year if you wanted to. I think Chris Duarte could definitely be a Tyler Hero type of player off the bench, where he can average around 19 to 20 points per game if he allows it. Off the bench, they have TJ McConnell, who's really the only scorer off the bench. They got Isaiah Jackson, they got all these guys, and move Chris Duarte to the bench, and I think he would thrive there a little bit better, playing off of TJ McConnell, but also being probably the main ball handler alongside McConnell. And then I'd assume they probably would sign a shooting guard or a point guard in the offseason just to get that number 2 guy beside Tyrese Halliburton. That may be Jalen Brunson of the Dallas Mavericks. That could be a pretty interesting piece right there. If you guys want to check out that video, I have a video out about that. But I think Chris Duarte moving forward should be a suitor for the 6-man role. Halliburton, he should be the main focus of the offense, and surround Halliburton with a lot of shooters. You can even start Duarte if you want to some games if one player gets injured in the starting lineup. But Duarte should definitely be viewed as a 6-man moving forward. I think I've had some comments about Duarte coming off the bench, which definitely makes a lot of sense. And just go out and get a pretty solid shooting guard, great 3-point shooters in general. And I think we're talking about a pretty great offense right there. Off the bench, Duarte can give you around 20 points per game if he wants to. So I think Chris Duarte should definitely be a pretty important piece. He is around 24 years old, so his time frame is going to be closing a little bit earlier than a lot of the guys on the team. But nonetheless, he still has the talent to be a pretty great scorer. He already has the offensive skills to be pretty great. A lot of good pump fakes, a good pretty much shot right there, good form. The only real thing about him is that his fouls are also pretty troubling. This season alone averaged around 2 fouls per game as a rookie. Him and Isaiah Jackson definitely need to fix those foul troubles. But overall, the rookies on this team have been pretty great. And Chris Duarte should definitely be viewed as a pretty important guy, especially in the Pacers core. What they're trying to build right now with Halliburton and, all these guys, Miles Turner, I think Duarte definitely fits in with the culture, bringing another guy in Jalen Brunson, and I think we're talking about a pretty great team right there, probably a playing team at that. I want to say, not getting too ahead of myself, because they tried getting into the playoffs, with Brogdon, Sabonis, Miles Turner, Karis LeVert, all those guys, but midseason, decided to rebuild, and it's looking pretty great right now with Chris Duarte, Tyrese Halliburton. They have a pretty bright future. Bring in another guy, bring in a few pieces in the offseason, and we're talking about a pretty great team coming back into the playoffs soon. So hopefully Chris Duarte can stay for the long run. I think he should be off the bench especially, and I think the Pacers definitely need to go up, get another shooting guard that can shoot the three, and we're talking about a pretty solid lineup right there. So let me know what you guys think about Chris Duarte. Should he come off the bench? Should he start? And I'm out. Peace.